Click that button here. Make sure our audio sounds good. Testing, testing. Good evening and welcome to the Arundel Camera Club meeting for Thursday, March 23rd. My name is John Milliker and I'm club president for the 2022-2023 season. The Arundel Camera Club was founded in 1957. It exists to promote the arts, science, and education in all aspects and fields of photography. Please visit us online at arundelcameraclub.org for more information. We are so happy that we're now meeting in person and online. If you are local to Anne Arundel County, Maryland, we encourage you to visit us at the Severna Park Baptist Church, located at 506 Benfield Road, Severna Park, Maryland. Before we move to tonight's contest, do we have any announcements from officers? Ron has an announcement. Come on over here, Ron, and then Sue, can I get you to come up and talk about the banquet as well?
Okay.
Sue, why don't you go first?
Come on over here. I've got the camera over here so we don't get the Doctor Who effect on the screen.
Okay. The banquet has been committed for the 25th of May, which is a Thursday, at the Olive Grove, North Hammonds Ferry Road. We're doing it buffet style this year, but the menu is terrific. You have a choice of beef tips, manicotti, fresh salmon, and all the sides that go with it: rice, green beans, homemade bread, assorted desserts, coffee, tea, and sodas. The price is $35 per person. We've set the time from 6:30 to 9 o'clock, so those who can make it at 6:30, you have a chance to mingle and get yourself a beverage before the crowd arrives and the official meal starts. And after the meal, we'll have the usual slideshow of winning images and awards announced. So please get your checks and commitment to Jackie Colstock as soon as possible. The deadline is April the 22nd. If you know you're not available, so we don't keep you on the pending attendees list, please respond to that email. Let either Jackie or myself know. Thank you.
I think that's cheaper than last year. Invite all your friends and family. Susan told me we can fill 70 people. Let's try to do it.
All right, just a couple quick things. If you all check your email, and especially check your spam folder or your junk folder, because I have a habit of being dumped there quite often in people's email because it's sent out to more than one people. Some browsers say you don't belong here, go back in the junk. So go check that because it has something you'll want. There's the code in there for the black and white contest. Now we have 2 entrants you can do free, and then 2 more for $5. And we have like 507 entrants from across all of the 21 or so clubs for MPA. So it's a good opportunity, but the code to put your pictures in, it's only open to MPA members, is in that email. Now there's a separate code that you need to get your discounted tickets for the Odyssey of Light, which is April 15th and 16th. And you know, that's our big fundraiser for MPA. We like to donate a lot of money. We've had $100,000 we've donated over the last couple of years to the food bank, and also to Alex's Lemonade Stand, if you're familiar with that charity. But we need a little bit of money for operations, and so the Odyssey of Light helps us. It's only $15 if you're an MPA member. And the other thing that's good about it is if you're, as a club, we get a lot of entrants, a lot of members go to that. We get a proportion of a $1,000 check in proportion to the number of entrants that we sent in versus the other clubs. So I think right now we have about $38 that are coming our way as a result of that. So that's not a lot, but that's something. But I did want to call your attention to one thing. I was talking to Fred the other day. Some of you are interested in astrophotography, and there are 4 different workshops over on the shore. They start around sunset, run till about midnight, and some of them are all the way as far away as St. Mary's City and Assateague, but some are in Hooper's Island. One is in southern Dorchester County, and they'll be running the 20th of May on up through the 16th of September in St. Mary's City. So it might require you to get a place overnight, but it's very cheap to participate in that. Something like $25 or something. It's not really all that much. but it's a really worthwhile thing to look about. So anyway, check the email I sent you. If you have any questions about any of those activities and codes, anything, if you have trying to find a code for registration or something, just call me and I'll get this stuff to you. Okay. John,
Excellent.
that's sort of,
Well, I should have had you wait. That way I can send you back over to our contest for tonight. Do you have something else?
no, that's all I have.
Excellent. Well, Christine is unable to make us, so I get to play schedule. Next week is March 30th is our studio night, and I'm not entirely sure if any guys have reached out to her to bring models, bring people to photograph, bring lighting setups, but if you're interested and haven't, I'm sure she could always use you. We have all this great space. We can fill that up. That is next Thursday. And then Thursday, April 6th is Burke Syme. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. He's with Service Photo. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be on, but I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. April 13th, Digital Looks Like a Painting. I sent out an email, and several of you emailed me back and told me what you thought about Looks Like a Painting was. And Mike was kind enough to put that in the newsletter, so make sure to read all of that in the latest newsletter. A lot of people are very excited about it. Then we have a Saturday field trip to the Maryland Zoo. That's on April 15th. Thursday, April 20th is Annapolis Photo Walk. There will be no stream. And April 27th is the print contest for Looks Like a Painting. And a reminder, April 13th, that digital contest, our second week, and we will be virtual. Please don't come here. You're going to have a bad time. And as far as that's concerned, I'm going to turn it back over to Ron and have him introduce our fantastic judge for tonight. And then we'll get us started. I'll pass that over to you, bud.
Thank you. On the back table, we have some photos that I'm going to let our judge talk just a minute about so you can take a look. But you may recognize him from his white hair, really stands out a bit. Yeah, that's you. And he was here in November, wasn't it?
November, October.
November, October as a presenter. And you remember he talked about a series of photographs he did about carnivals. And a lot of black and whites and stuff, some really fascinating stuff. And he's been working on that project for some 5 years. So you've photographed carnivals from Pennsylvania to Texas. Am I correct? Something like that?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty fascinating project. If you get a chance, you really should take a look at that tonight and see what a master printer does with that kind of content. Now, Andrew talked, I think Christine gave a little bit of the bio, and I'm sure every one of you memorized that bio from October. But I won't go over everything because I want to give him a minute or two to talk about what he's focusing on. He's been a member of the Harrisburg Camera Club since 1986 for 36 years. So that's a long time in the clubs. We were just talking about the clubs are all trying to deal with what we're dealing with in terms of trying to get people in from the cold and coming into the camera club at night. It's just a hard thing to do these days for clubs across the area. Andrew started out in black and white, also a lot with what do you call it? I didn't circle it, so I'm not going to get infrared. I'm sorry, and which is really hard to do, particularly with film. And he's done a number of things, and he's finally switched over to digital, finding out finally that in 2008 or so, digital is not a bad thing to have, and all of us know that who've been around for a little bit. So he's been in 2015. He started photographing people by necessity. Challenger of photographing people, pushed himself toward building a documentary portfolio on the carnival workers that we talked about, and some other things. So he has a lot of things he's doing. He's done a lot of judging across the area, and he's really skilled and insightful in terms of looking at pictures. And unfortunately, I told him we'd have about 45 to 65 unlimited photos tonight, and our numbers are a little bit thinner than that tonight, so I'm sorry to disappoint you.
That's okay.
That means we'll get on the road a little
Quality over
earlier.
quantity.
Okay. Andrew, you want to say anything else to the groups?
Well, thanks for having me here tonight. I brought two portfolios, actually. I brought a color portfolio of another project I've been working on for about 8 or 9 years, photographing up in Buffalo at an abandoned granaries. So that's what the color work is. That's generally done in macro, with a macro lens, because the macro lenses are sharper and it's not going anyplace, and I can focus by hand and blow up the image and get it dead sharp. I'm looking forward to this tonight. It's always a challenge. No tomatoes
Not yet.
or darts. So I'm ready to go.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, let's get our sequence correct, Bob. We're going to do novice first.
Novice color, novice mono, unlimited color, unlimited mono.
Okay. John, does that sound like a good sequence to you?
You're the contest chair, Ron.
All right, we've mixed it up a little bit sometimes, so let's go with that. We'll do novice color and then novice mono, you say?
Right,
Okay,
that's how the piles are.
okay. And from what I understand, Andrew, we have 1 through 4 and 1 honorable mention.
Okay.
So we'll go through 3 sweeps through. The one is to look at them, one is to comment on them and in and out, and then the last one will be your placements. And guess, Bob, you're on.
Okay,
Do you want this backlight out?
that might help. So novice color, refreshing. Last passing through. Kilgore Falls Light Water Glass. Home Port. Roots and Leaves. Frog on a Lily. Double Rock Park Light Water and Glass. Sunset Window Reflection. Golden Age. Fall on Parade Street. Taking a Break. Wild Pony. That's the lot. So we'll pass them through for comments this time.
This is novice.
Novice, yes.
Okay. Can't wait till we get the good stuff.
Right.
The photograph is nicely done. It is sharp enough. The depth of field is also nice. I'm glad the background is blurred out. I might have taken just a fraction off the bottom to keep it just a little lighter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Even though we cut out some reflection, we take some of the brighter light off the bottom of the frame. Okay, next.
Are we doing in out on this round?
Do you want to?
I would say out.
Okay.
I like the blues, I like the rich colors, I like how the They all work together compositionally. It looks good. Two really minor things for me is the railing sits on the window frame, which is a convergence, and I'm not thrilled to death about the white in the railing because I see that first and then I go back and see the rest of it after that. I don't know how to, well, I know how you can fix that. You'd have to clone all the black in, which is a lot of work. But the biggest gripe I actually have is the convergence of the rail on the windowsill. A little bit lower or a little bit higher would have gotten rid of that. But we will keep that in. And I do like the little bit of blue on the edge of the frame. I know it's close to the edge, but I can live with that. I like it as a little bit of an accent piece. Comment is, and I know that you're working with light, but the light items that are lit are not sharp for me. I like to see them a little sharper, but again, when you're working with light and playing with it, it's really tough to get it sharp. I wish the matte fit better in the print without having the white borders on it. If you need to, get a matte custom made to fit your print, because that's part of the presentation. I like the color. I'm not thrilled to death with that yellow person right off the edge of the frame, so we'll take this one out. Nice, clean, first thing I see. Now I'm going to play with this the way I like to look at stuff. It didn't work as well as I hoped it would. So you do have three things, which is good. I like the accent of the yellow. I kind of like the white in the tree. The one chimney is up in the top of the mat, so there's convergence there. I like the print. We can keep that in. This is really nice. Free and from back here. The yellows are nice and rich. The blacks are rich and have a little bit of shine on them. There's nice leading lines going up the tree trunk. There's a little bit of touch of green in it, which also breaks it up. A little thing, this is what I do when I'm out there. I take anything out that is running counter to the direction of what I'm using. So you have one little branch in here. That's something that's real simple. Pick it up, but you have to see it. You have to do this a lot, and then you'll see stuff like that. That's a really minor thing in this. I kind of like the fact that the tree trunk is not at the third. It's a little bit above the third, so we'll keep this one in. Okay. I wish the frog was a fraction sharper. And the biggest issue I have with this, he's in a good location, the eye's in a nice location, but it's a really monochromatic palette. And you can possibly boost the skin color of the frog up a little bit, or you can tone down the leaves a little bit, or tone down the background. It's really very, very lack of color that has punch to it that delineates the frog from the leaves better and the background. And also, don't like that little bit up at the top. Take that out, and then your eye doesn't run off the edge of the frame. We'll take that out. I like this one much better than the other one. We'll keep this in. Interesting color combination. I like the blue and the yellow and the orange. The purple I'm not enamored with, but I do like the fact that the trees are in silhouette, so it's not completely black at the top. But we'll keep that in. It's a different look at things. I'm glad someone is trying something different. I understand what the photographer's trying to do. I'm not exactly nuts over it. I like the color palette. I like the use of the pattern in it. But there are a couple of things I'd like to see fixed with it, and particularly the very top of the frame. That little bit of orange can be cloned out to make it a completely blue window. I'd rather see it that way, so it's a little more geometric. Some of you may not, and I think it needs to be a tad straighter in here because this side is a little lower than that side. That's a minuscule thing. If you don't have good straightening tools or know how to straighten well, in Photoshop, that'll happen. So I'm not going to dock it for that. I will keep it in for now. But the colors are dynamic, and I like the geometry in it. I actually like the way it's matted. I maybe take a little off the bottom of the mat, but I like the fact that it's not matted dead center in the middle. It's a nice photograph, has nice color, nice balance. It's very calming, but as it's very calming, it's not very exciting. So it's a nice photograph. It's a nice, almost like I took on vacation type photograph. I hate to say that, but that's how a lot of us photograph anyway. I like the boat on the edge of the frame, almost off it to hold up that corner, but I am going to take it out because it's just not giving me a whole lot of impact for the photograph. I like the color palette with the blues and the orange. I like the balance with the trees. I think it's really bottom heavy. I understand the vignetting, but even the stuff further back is not sharp either. So I'd rather see a very sharp photograph, especially in the background. I know the foreground is meant to be soft, but the middle ground is also soft too. The sign is not sharp. So I'm going to take it out, but I like the color palette. I'm looking at it a little closer. Yeah, that's okay. It might need a tad bit of straightening in the back, but that's just a minor quibble. But I'd rather see it sharp all the way, at least to the midpoint. So let's take it out. Okay. The choice of f-stop is good. It's nice and soft in the background, which makes the duck pop. A couple minor little things. And the hot spots in here. And this can be taken out quite easily in Photoshop. I know you can't take it out physically because you're going to disturb the duck. But I do like the color palette in it. It's sharp, and it's nicely laid out. We'll keep that in. All right. Couple small things. It is sharp because I can see the hair on the nostrils against the background. I know you can't do anything about it, but it'd be nice if I could see the horse's eye. It's covered in hair. I know you can't do much about that. What I would have done is we have a lot of wasted space up here. Bring that down there. Take your hot spot out. Give it a solid dark top on it. The color, bring in your corners. And bring in the corners here, darken them up. The hoofs on the bottom of the frame. I don't know if that came with the photograph, but I will keep it in because it is a nice photograph. Yeah, we can lay them out.
Okay. I guess we're looking at first through fourth and one honorable.
One. Two. Yeah. Three, an honorable mention.
Okay.
Four. Oh, four. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3. That'd be four.
Three.
And I'll make that the honorable mention then.
Okay.
Okay. Tonight's color novice, honorable mention, Doug Wood. Doug is one of our out-of-state photographers.
What's the name of the piece, Paul?
Piece is Wild Pony.
Well, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Doug took one of those wonderful photo trips to Iceland in the winter. And this was one of the pieces that they got. They happened to stumble upon some ponies.
Nice.
You back online, John?
Yes.
Fourth place, last passing through, Diane Vatcher.
That is a old mill building. I am like probably 4 feet and no other angle to get that image. It's painted, so I'm trying out my painted techniques. Very subtle. And the theme really is death, this one. The wind was blowing through the whole building and blowing out that piece of canvas. So I put a light, a photographer's light has been put in there. I painted on graffiti very subtly and put in streaks from a lamp that was outside already.
Interesting.
Would you consider using a long exposure to have that?
Not at that time, you don't want to be where I was. But
Oh, okay.
Third place, double rock part light water glass, Tommy Atchison.
I did that picture as part of my finals this summer in photography 1 class. So I found I really liked light painting. So went to Double Rock Park and found a little waterfall there. Was experimenting with painting with using they're like a cone with different colors of light and a flashlight and stuff like that. And the purple thing is actually a light one that I just kind of stood there and, you know.
Wow. Amazing, you've got a very nice circle. I would have thought it'd be more random.
Yeah, you just sit there and just kind of go, you know, like that.
Huh.
It's nice to see you experiment.
It was a really fun project.
Second place, Doug Wood, Home Port.
That's in Iceland again.
Oh, right.
And look at closely, there is detail in the whites in that, which is really important.
First place, it's just, is Roots and Leaves, Tommy Atchison.
Again, another one of the pictures I took during my photography 1 class on a photo shoot in Annapolis during the fall. So I come across some leaves and roots, and it looked really nice to me.
Nice treatment on it.
Right. Okay. Is yours over here?
That was coming from the light coming from the inside.
Okay, same here, we're looking at 4, 1 through 4.
So it wasn't really light.
Okay.
How many images?
About 11. So there'll be one honorable mention.
I think I have 12.
Same thing.
You said about, okay.
Okay, do we have
For the
11
ballpark.
or 12?
Well, let's see.
This is still not.
1,
Still not
2,
Oh, this is all. The monochrome.
4,
Monochrome.
6, 7, 8, 9,
Oh,
10,
okay, that was it.
11. I only counted 11.
11, okay.
Right. So novice, monochrome. If a tree falls in the woods, ladies always free. Milkweed puffs. Cascade Falls. Winter Falls. Me and my shadow. Ice. Brooklyn doorknobs. The path less traveled. Pearl Blossom Spin Las Vegas. I see you up there. And that's it. Okay.
Looking at this photograph, I'm trying to figure out what's the most important part of the photograph. The tree trunk, the rock, and I assume that's a root ball, all have about the same size, and the tree and the rock have about the same value, tonality. So it's really hard to discern what the maker wants me to look at, because everything is on a very level plane, color, tonality-wise and size-wise. There's nothing that makes me want to stop and look at something in particular in it. That's what I'm struggling with this photograph, trying to find out what the photographer wants me to look at. So I'm going to have an out on that one. Obviously, the title is Ladies Always Free, and that's what's written on the bottom of the building. So I'm assuming that's what the photographer wants me to look at. But if you noticed, I put something up here because I'm really seeing the air handling units, and there is room to cut them off. Then we could have a square photograph, which would be a little more graphic, would still be balanced, and I wouldn't be looking at the air handling units. And it needs just a bit more contrast in it too, so I will take that out also. The idea is good. The execution's where it fell. I like the color treatment, the tonality treatment, the sepia tone. I like the detail in it. It's a little busy, but that's okay in this case. I'm not really too worried about it. I like to see the corners toned down a little bit. Whenever you're doing prints, you want to keep your corners darker than other parts of the photograph, because then it keeps your eye in the photograph. When you run your corners light, your eye tends to run out of it. But we will keep this photograph. One of the reasons I like this photograph is it's actually split into not quite thirds. There's a little less than a third at the top. The second cascade comes down, and there's a little heavier on the bottom for the last cascade. I like that treatment. I wish it was a bit sharper, especially on the left-hand edge. I don't know if it was handheld or it just wasn't focused properly, or if you went to autofocus, it got fooled a little bit. I will keep it in with those misgivings. Again, the photographer is challenging me to find something to actually leave my eye lay on. We have actually four different components of this. They're all a little different size, but they all have relatively the same tonality except for the fourth element, which is the brighter white in the background. The composition's okay, but my eye has problems moving in it because it kind of stops at the first rock, stops at the middle one, stops at the waterfall, and tends to run out at the top. When you're doing black and white, you have to have different tonalities and different depths of darkness or lightness in the photograph to keep your eye moving. This is kind of flat in that respect. It's not flat in terms of contrast, but it's just flat in that. But I will keep it in. This photograph, oddly enough, with the tonality and the softness of it, reminds me of something photographed back in the 1920s, which I kind of like those photographs. This is obviously the frog on a different color palette, which I kind of like. I kind of like that shadow there. And everything's a little out of balance with this, which really doesn't bother me. Yes, it's on the edge of the frame. Yes, it's looking out of the frame. But it's balanced by the darks and the lights behind it. So oddly enough, I'm going to keep that in because it's a different treatment. It's not a documentary type photograph. Again, you've heard me say this before. You can lose the whites up there. My eye runs off the frame. You got plenty up here to work with. You don't need that whole top 4 inches because that's really not bringing much to the table. But like with the other ones, again, the lighting's pretty flat in here, and the tonalities are kind of not strong enough. We have a bit of convergence between this ice and this ice, which I would like to see either get up higher, which is the only way to get rid of that convergence. I do like the curl in the background. Maybe that might have been a better choice. There are 2 photographs in here, and I don't know which one you want me to really look at, but I'll keep it in there for now. Well, obviously not for now, for the rest of the time. I actually like this piece, even though it's balanced, but it's shot up the middle, so to speak, with the frame up the middle. I like it because you have contrast in it, you have darks, you have lights. The whites are actually okay, they're good. There's a little fringing on the whites, there's a little zigzagging in it. which you can't see unless you get on top of it. But I would keep this one in. I like the composition. I like the tonalities. I like the fact that you're using lighting to highlight them. I like the use of the S-curve in there. You can't go wrong with that. I know there's not much contrast in this because it's obviously you don't have much sunlight to work with. But I do like the fact that you did put an S-curve in there. It does give me something to look at. I like to cut the top off. We cut the top off, then we cut the tree off. So we're kind of stuck in a rock in a hard place. So I guess we keep the sky in that respect. But we'll keep that one in also. I like the diagonal of the flower from bottom left to upper right. I kind of like the curve in it, and then sometimes I don't like it. There's not a whole lot of contrast in it. The blacks are really black. I don't think it's quite sharp enough for me. I understand the photographer was trying to do something. It appears they're trying to do something a little different. I appreciate the fact, but there's not enough there to make me want to keep that. So I'll be out. Couple things I like about this. We have diagonals going from bottom left to upper right, and bottom right to upper left, and then back again. I like that. I like the fact that it's a little not quite centered. I like the fact the kid is actually looking at the camera. I just wish the shutter speed would have been a tad faster. Then it would have been a sharper, the person would have been sharper too. Like just a fraction off. But I like the idea, I like the execution. I also don't mind the sepia tone in it. I don't know if I like it more as a straight black and white, but I'm not going to worry about that right now, so we'll keep that in. One, two, three, four.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So this is 1.
No, this is 1.
Oh, 1. This one.
That's 2,
2.
3, 4.
This is
Honorable mention. Yeah,
so this was 2.
that's 2.
Three. 4. 8. Right. Novice, color, Winter Falls, Dugwood. Honorable mention.
Sorry.
Iceland.
Iceland.
Well, he hasn't told me a lot about the trip yet. Just he sent me a bunch of shots and said, look what I did. Oh, looks like fun.
Fourth place, me and my shadow, Julie Bennett. And Julie Bennett's in Florida.
North Carolina.
You sure?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
Take note, that photograph is not your standard photograph. I like it because it's a little more daring than some of the other stuff.
I see you up there. Still in North Carolina, Julie Bennett, third place. Right. Second place, Milkweed Puffs, Diane Vatcher. Where is first?
Yeah, pick it up.
That's second, where's first?
1, 2, 3.
Didn't mean to scare you.
Okay, Diane Vatcher, Brooklyn Doorknobs, first place.
Yes, it is. And that's in honor of Aunt Maureen, who passed away last year or so. And we would go on walks in Brooklyn.
I like a photographer who can win with a picture of doorknobs.
Well, it goes to show you, you don't have to shoot big or shoot out of town,
Right.
so to speak. It's just finding the right subject and lighting.
Early morning.
What's also interesting, 2 of the winners in that were not big pictures, but they were 10 by 8s. This is
Just turned her.
Warren Mill. So it's like Smith Street and all of the restaurants on Smith Street, Port Street.
Vance?
This is unlimited with 3 honorable mentions for
Okay.
these, right?
It is 26, yeah.
Is this color, it's color, right?
Right,
How many images?
26. Unlimited color, 26 images, sunbathing. Maple syrup time. Williamsburg bookbinding. Riexonet Prosecco. The Red Door. Convex or concave? Orange shades. Carousel. Building Museum fundraiser. Camera stabilizer. Mute Swan liftoff. Rosetta Spoonbill landing. Alpha and Omega. Mesa Watchman. Just flying around. Lenses. Sacred Right. Flower in vase. Out of the light. Last man out. Plantation Casitas. Bird in moonlight reflection. Ball jar. The attic. Blow your horn. Man with glass ball. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is sharp at the eyes, most important thing. Second important thing, you got the whole reflection in. The color, the light is really nice on it. The only thing I have with it, when I'm going to take it out for it, it's very static. And it's not very exciting. It's a nice turtle photo. I give you credit for that, but otherwise it doesn't really do much for me. I like the diagonals in it. I like the diagonal of the man. I like the diagonal of the background. The whites are beautifully done. I like the orange in the jacket. I like the orange in the harness in the foreground. The only problem with it is not sharp from front to back. Your shutter speed needed to be a little bit higher on that. So I'm going to take it out. I like the whole idea, but again, it's the execution did not match the thought process. Like the colors, like the tonality. I like the photograph that is off center slightly. It's in a good location. But otherwise, I find the photograph essentially unexciting. It almost looks like, someone experimented with depth of field, and the very center is sharp. and that's all we have going for it. So we take that out. Depth of field is strong. It is dead sharp. I like the fact that the whole label is in on the bottom on the reflection. It's a nice glossy surface to photograph on. It's darkened in the corners on the edges like I like it, so you end up concentrating only on the bottle. We will keep that one in. Color tones are really nice. Tonality is nice, composition's well done. There's a mystery involved with it, but otherwise, it just doesn't have any impact that I would like to keep it in the group. For that, I'll take it out. It's sharp enough from the edges all the way to the back. I'm not enamored with the color palette with it, to be honest with you. I like the blue in the center and the pink in the very center, but I'm not real thrilled with the color gradient from left to right. It looks like I'm looking at two different photographs. I would prefer to have one color palette all the way through it in the back. So I'm going to take it out. Again, this is me. Two small things, touching the edge of the frame over here, and a real hot spot up there, which drives me nuts because that's an easy fix. There's really no reason why you should have that in there. This could be fixed, but I'm not going to quibble about that. This one really bugs the crap out of me. But we'll keep it in. I like the color tones. I like the greens, the oranges, and the yellows. I photographed them before. I'm hoping you brought an outside light with you to light it up a little more next time. I like the concept of this. It's different. I like the treatment of things going in opposite directions. It adds a lot of excitement to the photograph. Just like to see the corners darker. And they got this hot spot down in here, possibly, and maybe that hot spot there. And this up on the edge of the frame. But let's keep that in. I like the fact that we have things going in opposite directions. It keeps my eye engaged with it. I like the idea of the photograph, but it's not that exciting. There's some really minor things with it, a lot of hot spots in it. There's a big light flare up in the upper left. On the bottom of the frame, there's a lot of hot spots on the edge of the with the fisheye lens. I'm just wondering, and this is how I do things. See, that's not going to work. But hot spots are here, 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 here. There's a big lens flare up here. Not lens flare, light flare. Those are little things that drive me nuts. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not real thrilled with the fisheye lens. I understand you're trying to do something different, that's great, but I'm going to take it out. I appreciate the amount of work it takes to light one of these things up. I wish there was a little more light on the camera itself. I like the reflection. It's in the center, yeah, that's okay, because the books are on the diagonal. So that adds a little bit of tension to it. We'll keep it in, but I do like the color palette in it, and I like the fact the background's black. The whites are absolutely perfect. It's a really, wish I could do this stuff. I can't do this stuff, I don't have the patience for it. The only thing I wonder if you shot in motor drive or quick frame, if you would have had another half a second so the one wingtip was off the water instead of in the water, then it would have been much stronger photograph. But you had the convergence of the wingtip in the water. It's just a fraction. But when you see that wingtips not touching the water, it builds that tension up in it that you don't have here. I would have probably taken a little off the bottom, too, because it is a horizontal photograph. I want to stress the horizontal aspect of the swan. Here I end up, it's a little too high for me. That's a little stronger for me. But that's me. Next. We'll keep it in. Compositionally, it's sound. Exposure-wise, it's sound. But it doesn't have much impact. It's just there. I know it's not dead center in the middle because the center medallion's up a little higher, but it just looks like a postcard that you would have picked up at one of the shrines. So I'm going to take it out. It's just not out. I could find that on Wikipedia if I wanted to. That's kind of the way I look at it. If it's a Wikipedia type photograph, it's a stock photograph. It's just not pushing the envelope like it can be pushed with digital. I like this actually better than the swan. I think it's a stronger photograph if you take that whole tree out, because I keep seeing the tree and it's competing with the spoonbill. I love the colors, I love the wingspan, but it's just this tree just starts driving me crazy. Don't be afraid to photograph in squares. Squares, if you can photograph with squares, don't be afraid of doing that, because that puts the power of the image in the frame. There's no wasted space. You know what you're looking at right away. But on the merits of the quality of the photograph and the detailing, I'm going to keep it in. Nice use of depth of field. I actually can see the eye, which is a really good selling point. I originally thought from back here that the hat was on the edge of the frame, and it is not. So there's space there. You're giving space for them to look out. Just a couple little quibbling things is darken the corners up, and maybe even darken the whole side so the person stands out just a little more, because their skin tones tend to blend a little bit with the background. So if you can darken your background up a little bit more, it makes them jump out a little more, but we'll keep it in. It's a real nice photograph. It's clean, it's sharp, the tonality is dead on. I just talked about the spoonbill being square. This is one I would not do square because I don't want to crowd it that much. The small things you can see there is water coming off the beak or sugar or syrup, whatever. It's white, and it doesn't bother me because that delineates the edge of the beak out. It is dead sharp from end to end. I still hate to see a little darker around the edges, but we'll keep that in. It's a really nice photograph, and the shutter speed is appropriate. And the detail is in the feet, which are also very nice. It's sharp. I do like the fact that everything's kind of not in perfect position. I wish there was a little more space between the lens at the bottom left and the edge of the frame, because it kind of gets lost a little bit in the background because I really can't see the delineated edge like you can on the other pieces. It's a nice photograph, but based on the other ones, I'm going to take it out. The color is really nice, it's sharp. I just don't find it as attractive as some of the other ones. Again, similar to the cross photograph, at least this is on a diagonal, so it has a little more tension with it. You have the pews going on a different diagonal. The lighting's better on it. I like that little bit of reflection in the bottom of the frame, but otherwise, this photograph really doesn't do much to excite me. And again, looks almost like I was there, I took the photograph, and it tends to look a little pixelated in the darker areas. Again, I don't know if that's printing or the actual image, but I'm going to take it out because it's not attracting my attention like some of the other ones. I like the tonality and the color between the red and the green, but as soon as it came up, one thing I saw right away, drove me nuts, is this big white spot here. This can be cloned out and you won't lose anything there, and the white spots in here. Be mindful of really hot spots in your photographs. They tend to take stuff away. Now, the edge of the window frame on 3 of the 4 sides is acceptable to me because you are framing the photograph. Because if you go in tighter, then you're going to have a problem with composition and spacing and how it fits in the frame. So I kind of like the framing there, but I'm not real happy the fact that you had the hot spots, because my eye immediately goes to that white spot behind the 2 red petals. And it goes to the piece above that that's hanging in the white area, and then it goes down to the bottom of the vase where the white spots are there. So I'm going to take it out. Thank goodness for a red dress, because that's what makes us pop. Upon closer examination, it's really not that sharp. Even the lamp above the women is not as sharp as it could be because that lamp's not moving and the people are. You see that? That's all wasted space up there. Now, when you do it this way, that puts them off center, which I really don't have a problem with. But I really don't need all that up there in reality. I like the composition, I like the concept. I'm going to keep it in for now. Action shot, not the easiest thing to do. The color's good on it, considering how white it is outside, and you can't do much about that. You can't do much about all the white on the flooring. But the photograph looks, upon closer examination, be a lot pixelated right on the edges of the photograph. And I mean the edges of the body form. So I'm going to take it out. It might have been overworked a little bit too much. It appears that way. Colors are nice. I like the complementary colors on the bottom left. I like the path going out. The buildings are on a diagonal. That's nice. The oranges and the blues complement each other. The blue of the mountains in the background work. But the photograph's really busy, and I don't know what you want me to look at. Do you want me to look at the houses? Do you want me to look at the flowers in the foreground? Do you want me to look at the path? So you haven't sold me on what the purpose of the photograph is. It almost, again, looks almost like a documentary photograph because I can't find a true focusing point in the image. So it's coming out. Crop that thing to death. I love the color palette. I like the light. The white spots in the background are just too much for me. The photograph is actually of the heron in the water and the grasses behind it. It's really not the moonlight. It's really not the background. If you can take that photograph, run it through again, and print it square or really tight where all you have are the grasses, the water, and the dark in the background, you're going to have a much stronger photograph. Here there's just way too much for my eye to run off the frame with. I know what you want me to see, but make sure that's what you really want me to see and make it the most important part of the image. I will take it out. Nice depth of field, nice sharpness on it, nice diagonal on it, nice color palette on it. I kind of like the blues. I don't know if you pumped them up, but that's okay. I'll live with that. background, I wish we had taken a little darker work on it because that hot spot here just keeps pulling my eye over here. I like the concept of it. I wish the execution was a little stronger on it, but I'll keep it in. This looks a lot like the stuff I photographed up in Buffalo. There's a lot going on in here, which isn't a bad thing. But I'd like to see some cropping on that. Yeah, I know the stairs going off the edge of the frame, but I think that's more important to have than that metal bar going off the edge and this bright spot over here. I like the idea. I just wish the execution a little better. It's a little soft for me, especially in the background, and that back window has that goofy orange in it, almost like it was tried to pull down the brightness of it, and it kind of just went mushy on you. I'm going to take it out. I like the concept. Again, the execution, and that ceiling is not square either, which is also one of those little things that drives me nuts. And again, I don't know if you can do much about that with your software or your skill level. This one, I like the humor, I like the concept. The colors are fine. It's a little soft around here. You can't do much with the top because you got the horn coming through there, so you can't save that. The corners need to be darkened. But otherwise, I think it's way too tight for my taste. I like to have a little more space to work with. It's coming out. Now this one intrigues me. It intrigues me because it is so much different than the other ones. It almost like it came out of a David Lynch film. The hand is out of focus. I will live with that because the face is sharp. There's just one needling thing I wish I would have done with the sunglasses is take the hot spots out of it. There are orange hot spots in it. If that was all black, that'd be even stranger. But I want to keep this in because it is the unicorn in all the photographs. It is, like I said, it reminds me of something David Lynch would photograph because it is off kilter. I know that in some cases doesn't make it a rational decision, but it's the subject. So keep that in.
Want to lay it out or you want?
Yeah, you have to lay it out.
The light's coming on.
Hang on. 4 and 3.
A little more space here.
Right.
Steal a little over this way.
One, 2,
Which is one?
this one.
This is one, right?
That's 2.
2.
3,
This is
4.
2. 3 was which one?
3 is the bottle.
Bottle Prosecco.
We need the honorable mentions. Should be 3 of those. That shouldn't be too hard to do.
4 was which one?
The one next to it.
This
The
one.
one, yep.
It's 4.
One, 2, 3.
So these are the honourables.
Yeah.
Okay, unlimited colour. Honourable mention, unlimited colour, camera stabilizer. Fred Venetia.
That was taken here with the help of,
My books, my camera.
Yes, really.
no, my camera, his looks better than his light. Okay, all I have is a constant light and I just braid it with it.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of those cameras. Just flying around, honourable mention, Fred Venetia.
That was shot a couple of years ago over there at Tuxton. It's just half a lucky shot. I moved the shutter up as high as it go. That's right. Well, my camera, that particular camera, I use only with 4,000.
Honourable mention, orange shades, Christine Milliker.
I don't know.
Yep.
Did you hold the flower for her?
No, I didn't even know it was there.
4th place, carousel, Jackie Colstock.
What is that, Jackie?
It's a carousel.
Is that Glen Echo?
No, actually, that is in a park in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. It's apparently one of the oldest carousels around. It's fully original. They've completely restored it. And my friend and I were walking around taking shots, and that was handheld because we weren't allowed a tripod in that building the day we were there. And I think it was
You did a good
about a
job.
20 to 30 second shot.
Yeah, it looks nice, yes.
Yeah, nice job.
So you captured the motion.
It was the lights and the colors of the tops where the horses are attached to the top structure. It's those pieces going around.
Ah,
It's an intriguing piece. It's not your standard photograph. Get a little thought in it. I hope.
There was a lot of
It looks painted.
Fries Zenet Prosecco, 3rd place, Mike Thomas.
It's a pretty model.
Yeah.
Nice figure.
I let it from behind and in front on plexiglass.
Well, the fact that the edges are dark, which puts my eye right where I want it to be.
Man with Glass Ball, Edna Henke, 2nd place.
I took that picture of my best friend Bob, and it was one of these nights where we had all the lights and everything, a studio night like
Yeah.
we're going to have soon.
Uh-huh.
And everybody tried something neat things.
Well, the most intriguing thing is the harshness of the photograph, which I found intriguing because it's not done normally like that. It was really a 1A and a 1B. And the reason I gave this 1A, it had just a little more feeling to it, it had a little more atmosphere to it. it was a little more identifiable. It wasn't, I don't want to use the term scary, because scary isn't a word I want to use. It just has a little bit better color palette, and it was nicely, it was more, the execution was a little cleaner.
This is much better than,
I think the light
this is much
washed it
better.
out. Yeah, the light washed it out.
Much better.
What's on the table, if you've got first in your hand?
Another picture.
Okay.
This is Mesa Watchman Ron Pfeiffer, first place.
Oh.
I have to admit that I shot the Indian photographed the Indian this winter at a powwow up in at the fairgrounds. But I didn't like the location he was in, so I transported him to southern Utah from a picture that's actually a Comb Ridge behind there from southern Utah. So apologies for the magic.
That would,
No.
that would explain why the focusing is so sharp here and
I worked real hard to make sure the focus wasn't sharp back there,
Yes,
believe
he
me.
did. Flew around there.
Nice job.
Cost him a pretty penny for that first place.
this is just another picture.
So then you didn't have to pay a model in Utah.
No.
Well, that's good, because nothing drives me nuts more than seeing photographs of Monument Valley and all the Indians in the background. And I go, they're paid to do that.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about that photograph.
Yeah.
Oh, and everybody thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced
I had to
bread.
work really hard so this guy didn't see that I was taking
Right.
his pictures.
Oh,
So
I know
this is
that
the one-
feeling. But you obviously didn't shoot with a really long lens.
I had a 70 to 200, and it was actually closest for me to Jackie, so he
Yeah.
knew I was there, I believe.
Just didn't get in his face.
Right, exactly.
Well, I said the thing I liked about it is there's a little bit of white in the eyes. It was still showing. So that helped make it a lot.
Number of images, please.
26, monochrome, unlimited.
I just knew how to do it.
Going out.
Okay. Silver Diner. Wash day. Veiled Wolf.
I thought I turned it down.
Penny farthing around the bend. El Vado Motel. Kate. Day Watch. Dried flowers in glass. Roaring Fork. Five Freedoms. Woman with hoe. Excuse me. Clowns to the left of me. Reflections on Ellicott City glass. Preparing offerings. Water goblet. Chesapeake and Ohio number 377. Subway train arriving. Windows, windows, and more windows. Bison in mist. Darkroom wagon. Ocean swirls. Egret. Cathedral reflection. Florida egret.
That wasn't my fault.
It's a little late for training.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
The train's already gone. San Jose de la Guana Mission. Grand Yosemite. That's it.
How many of these are there?
26.
26.
We need 3 honorables for this one.
7, just like last time.
Yep.
What's that? Email coming.
Dynamite contrast, nice angle, nice composition. Everything seems to be in the right place. Let me try something here. There's a lot of verticality in this photograph. Columns are going up, the pylon's up. So this might have worked a little bit better, cropped a little, and almost done as a square. It's a stronger, tighter photo. This isn't helping the photograph any. It's not hurting it, it's just not enhancing it any. But I want to keep it in the mix because it's nice contrast. The reflections on the car are spectacular. Compositionally, the photograph's nicely done. We actually have lateral movement left to right with the roof lines, but the vertical movement with the clothesline, which kind of breaks it up, which also goes back with the lateral movement, but they actually close on the clothesline. The contrast is good enough, but the photograph doesn't intrigue me enough because everything is almost of the same color gray throughout the photograph until you get to the blacks of the clothing there in the shadows. But a lot of the colors almost look the same, or the tonality, the density of the prints almost look the same. So I'm going to take it out. The animal's in the right position. It's looking at the camera, which is fine with me. I really don't care too much for the whole overall treatment of it. It's a little flat. The white edge on the left is just driving me bonkers. The white at the bottom of the frame is driving me nuts too. It's an execution issue, and there's a lot of white in the middle of the photograph that's not discernible. So I'm going to take it out. Really nice photograph. That lead rider is dead sharp. I like the diagonals in it. I like the curves in it. I like the contrast in it. It's not overdone. So let's keep that one in. It's a really nice, clean photograph of something that's not the easiest thing to photograph. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Steve Fitch. He did a lot of this stuff out west with drive-in movie theaters. I like the photograph. The strongest thing is the sign. It's the most important part of it. That's why I started blocking off the bottom so I could clearly see the most important part. Because all this white and the lights on the bottom starts becoming distraction because it keeps pulling me away from what you want me to see. There, it's still compositionally strong. And I know exactly what you want me to see. But I will keep it in. There's really not much I could say about this photograph. It's sharp. It has triangles in it. If you look at the elbow coming up to the head is almost triangular too. There are little triangles in the fingers too. There's nothing I can say that I can't find any fault in this photograph, believe it or not. That doesn't mean I make it the best photograph, but it's really done well, which is what I really like to see. So keep this in. A couple of things that are really nice about this photograph is the man with the cigar has got great detail in him. The carbine behind his head is not converging on the back of his head, which is really important. I'd like to see a little bit taken off the bottom, because there's that white spot on the very bottom. There's nothing there that's important enough. There is a fraction of space between the top of that head and the edge of the frame. It's a nice photograph, but it's really not doing much for me, so I will take it out. Otherwise, it's well done. I just don't think it needs to be kept with the rest of the better ones. So that'll come out. Now I'm intrigued again, because I don't know what to tell you, and it is almost square, which is fun. I like that. I wish there's just a little more contrast in it, believe it or not. I like the concept of it. I don't know if I'm in love with the photograph, but I like the concept of it, so I'm going to keep it in as a conceptual piece. It's sharp all the way through. There's tonality in it, which I really like. I'm not thrilled with the paper it's on, because it appears to be some sort of watercolor type paper that has a surface on it that is not smooth. Because it's not that smooth, I think we're losing some of the sharpness in it. I would like to see it on a straight paper. It says, I don't know if it's a watercolor paper. It seems to have some sort of cross hatching in it. I still keep it in. It's a nice piece. And it has nice movement to it. It starts in the upper left, goes to the middle left, comes back down, and then ends in the center. I just wish it would have been on a different paper, but we'll keep it. Again, you don't see that until you get on top of it. So that's kind of like really strong, but that's why I'm looking at it. The photograph is matted the way it should be, narrow. I just don't find much intriguing in the photograph that makes me want to go back and look at it again. It's almost like a piece of historical photograph of a moment in time, but I like the treatment of it that's done horizontally, and horizontally almost like a pano. I don't think it's strong enough to keep it in the group, so let's take it out. I like the square format in it, or near square format in it. Everything I need is in the photograph. It's nice and tight. I like to see just a tad more contrast, but that might be pushing the envelope a little bit too much. It's a good photograph, but it's not a really good photograph. There's another one that's going to come up that I think is stronger than that one, so let's take that one out. And I'll make note of that one when it comes up. I like the concept. I like the irony in the photograph. she's actually smiling. I like the photograph as a whole. It's just a little cockeyed, but that's okay. It's done in the street. I'll accept that. But I like the idea of the photograph, so we'll keep that. The execution there is smart, let's put it that way. I like the idea everything's on a diagonal. I like the idea that there's a relatively dark background to highlight the glass, but it doesn't do much for me. I know there's detail in the glass that's showing up, but the photograph really isn't moving me. It's a nice photograph. It's well executed, but it's just not driving me to keep it in the group. The upper left-hand portion of it also is kind of bugging me a little bit, but I'm not going to hold that against it because there's no way to crop that to get it exactly where you want it. There's a way to do it, but it's really difficult to do, and I'm not going to get into that. But it's just not making me want to keep it in there. It's done well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not as strong as the other photographs. So that's coming out. This is a photograph I was juxtapositioning the other photograph. Again, it's almost square. This seems to have a little more activity and emotion with it. I'm not enamored with the whites blowing off up there, because this is great. You know, there's detail, there's character lines in there. That white's kind of blown off the edges. And you have that hot spot on the right with the kettle here or the basket. That can be toned down. There's a hot spot here. Well, the more I'm looking at it, the less I'm liking it now. I want to keep that in, though. The composition's really nice on it. I like the fact that you actually cropped it differently than most people would, but I don't like the placement inside the frame. I don't think it's entirely sharp enough for me. The subject matter is kind of dull. I'd like to see a little more exciting photograph than this, but I appreciate the fact that you actually matted it to work with the photograph. But we'll take it out. Really nice tonality. I like the open window where it's placed. I wish it was a tad wider so the light on the top of the train would be showing and the hitch would be showing at the bottom. Really minor things. I wonder if you brought a more lighting with you, you could have gotten more detail. Now we're nitpicking, but getting more detail onto the bottom if you brought a small light with you. Battery-powered light that you just put in your hand, or a flashlight to open up the bottom a little more. But the tonality on this is spectacular. We're going to keep that. The composition's great. I wish it was a fraction wider, but that's about it, because even the window is pushing the top of the mat. But we'll keep it in. Okay, you heard what I said about the last fisheye photograph. This one's more intriguing. This one's a little more exciting. It has vanishing point. I wish I had a little more contrast. But I like the idea with this one, heads and tails above the other one, the color image. So we'll keep that in. Again, nice vanishing point on it. I really like that. And the fact that everything just leads right into it. So keep that. And I don't mind the hot spots there because I know it's part of the rail line and you're going to take all of them out. If you could take them out, that'd be even better. But I'm not too upset about that. A lot of wasted space on the bottom. The contrast is great. Actually, I like this photograph the further back it goes than it does in the foreground. Contrast is nice. The vanishing point is nice. I want to keep it in because it's just a nice, clean print. Yeah, I don't like that bottom, but I'm going to keep it in because it's a clean print. Nice S-curve. We have detail in the back. That one tree that's prominent in the upper third actually does not bother me as much as it should, but I will let it go. The snow is white. There's detail in the snow. It works as compositionally very, very strong, so we'll keep that. And the contrast is where it should be. It's not overdone. There are a lot of hot spots in the glass, but I understand why they're there because that's what because if you take the hot spots out of the glass here, they're all going to go dull. So I will accept it there. I'm not enamored with the amount of space at the bottom of it. In fact, I'd rather see the photographer get in really tight on the important stuff in the photograph, such as the jars, the bottles, the minutia in there. I think you lose a lot of it when you have the foreground, which is very flat. And if you want the foreground to be important, you're going to have to open it up a little more and see detail in it. So I'm going to take this out. I wish a photographer would spend a little more time with the details in the background. That horizon looks crooked. We'll start with that. There's a white spot on the right-hand edge where a wave is breaking. That can be taken out. Again, we have a lot of grays in there. The only really dark spot is in the bottom, which is good. That's where I want it. But the light is not that spectacular. It's not raking. And the grays of the rocks start matching the grays in the background. So it's a very flat, in terms of depth, photograph. So I'm going to take it out. Great detail, really sharp. It's nice and tight. Yeah, can't go tighter because you cut the beak off. It's a nice photograph. The colors, the tonality is dead on for me. But I'm going to look at something else, a little off the beaten path. I'm looking at making it more of an abstract. I don't know if it works because now we've lost the eye, so now you really don't know what it is. But I was just looking at that as an intriguing option for the photograph. But definitely keep this in. I like it. We have diagonals, we have verticals, we have things running across each other in different directions. Just a little small thing in the bottom right corner is a bright spot, and that can easily be taken out, and same thing up in the upper right corner. That can be taken out too, but let's keep that one. I like the tonality in it, I like the contrast, I like the compositional elements in it. Whites are dead on. I like the wing that's open up. I like the reflection. The mouth is open, which actually makes it a little bit different. The other ones, the beak's not closed. But it's still a very static photograph, so I will take it out. I want to see, a little more movement in it, possibly. Tonality's nice in it, the framing's nice in it, the clouds are nice in it. I'm still debating about that cross in the very front. That's very dominant against the black door. I would like to see it actually photographed with the cross behind you, so the black door becomes a stronger focal point. But we'll keep that in. The contrast is nice, the tones are nice, the composition is there, so we'll keep it in. Lighting's nice, the clouds are nice, the composition's nice. We've seen this before. It's a tad soft for me, especially when you get in the middle ground. But we'll keep it in because there's really nothing else, that is conflicting with that photograph.
Can we lay them out?
Okay.
Lay them out, or you want to go through?
Lay them out, yeah, just lay them out.
Lights come off.
Yeah, just put it up there. Just lay it flat.
Keep going that way. Just right on top of this box.
Yeah, because this won't take too long. One, two,
Which one's 2?
one underneath. it.
Okay, right. 2, 1, 2.
Three. Because I know how difficult that is. 4. Honorable mention 1, 2, and 3. There you go.
Starting one.
Okay, this is 1.
I'll try not to pick up anything.
This one was 2. This was 3. This was 4, right?
Yeah.
And the rest are HM.
HM.
Right. Tonight's unlimited monochrome, honorable mention, clowns to the left of me, Ron Pfeiffer.
I like the irony in the photograph and the timing.
That was in Baltimore on North Howard Street.
Honorable mention, Cathedral Reflections, Edna Henke.
I spent hours at night trying to get the right picture for that.
Where was it, Ed?
In Anaheim, California, that's the Crystal Cathedral. Wow. That's a reflection.
Right.
Nice job.
Honorable mention, subway train arriving, Bob Webber. And the highlights are staying.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
More dynamic.
Fourth place, Ron Pfeiffer, Egret.
Shot that in North Carolina this summer and spent all winter trying to figure out how to process it.
Can I have the stack, please?
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Behind you.
Third place, penny farthing around the bend, Bob Webber. That was taken in Frederick last summer.
Nice action photograph.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. Second place, Kate, Fred Venetia.
That was taken at the graffiti warehouse, a 48-inch jump with a white backdrop and what do you call
That's striking, isn't
And the
it?
reason it's black is because of the inverse score law.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
And first place, Mike Thomas, Chesapeake, Ohio, number 377.
I took that on the B&O Railroad Museum field trip, so go on your field trips. There's a train behind it, a train beside it, a train in front of it, and a roof above it. I'm shooting it with a 10mm lens. I don't know that you can get any more of that far enough back to get any more of the train in the picture. I chose what's light and dark, so I have a lot more light to work with. I just chose not to illuminate some of the other stuff as bright.
And that's the warehouse to the side of the main rotunda?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got great contrast all the way through it, and it's sharp from end to end.
Also printed on a metallic paper.
Yeah, that helps. But see, it didn't scream metallic. That was a good thing.
There we are.
Okay, we all done?
All right, I want to thank our Judge Andrew for being here this evening and for trekking all the way down from another state that we just to the north, and for your really lengthy and detailed comments on these images. It gives us a lot of information to go back and work on some of these things. So thank you so much for being here.
I'll take that, Ron. We'll close it out. I want to remind people next week, bring your cameras. Make sure to come in for studio night, March 30th, Thursday, starting at 7. If you're bringing lights, I will be here 6:15. You can come in here a little bit earlier and then get those looks like a painting photos done. Really exciting, and it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Good night, everybody.
So that I'm still using to Jen, to packet business I bought.